Welcome to the Therapy Show podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard. In each episode, I interview a seasoned and knowledgeable talk therapist from the counseling world to glean valuable insights, techniques, and tools that you can apply to your practice and your life. And if you're considering a career in the counseling field or just want to hear about what it's like to be a talk therapist, then this is the podcast for you. Well, hey there, friends. Welcome to another episode of The Therapy Show. In this week's podcast, Tracy Kenela shares some of the ways she stays focused as a therapist when working with clients who have extensive trauma or who have difficulties participating in traditional talk therapy. A little bit about Tracy. She is a licensed mental health counselor, a certified rehabilitation counselor, a certified eating disorder specialist, and an advanced clinical hypnotherapist. She has over 17 years of experience counseling individuals, couples, and families, and has practiced hypnotherapy since 2014. Tracy's approach to counseling is based on the belief that everybody has the power within themselves to work through painful, confusing, and chaotic situations and develop a plan to live peaceful and meaningful lives. She uses a variety of cognitive, behavioral, energetic, and mind-body techniques, and she's passionately committed to helping her clients achieve harmony, unity, and agreement in their lives. She uses a highly intuitive approach that is customized to fit each individual. She says no two people have the same history, the same struggle, or the same recovery process, and I agree with her 100%. Tracy also has her own podcast that you can listen to on her website at lokahicounseling.com. Don't worry, I'll be sure to put that in the show notes if you want to go and listen to it. It's called Calming the Chaos. It's awesome. It's so awesome. She also has a CD that teaches people to use mindfulness and 9 simple practices throughout the day in less than 10 minutes per tract. It's pretty cool. So you guys be sure to check where you can learn more about Tracy. I'll put all the links in the show notes. You're really going to enjoy today's conversation. I really did, and we'll see you on the inside. Hey guys, before we dive into this week's episode, I want to tell you about a group I've created on Facebook. It's called the Talk Therapist Lounge, and it's a place where we talk therapists can find podcast guest opportunities. That's right, if you're a licensed talk therapist and you are looking to grow your reach and visibility, this group may be a place for you to start. I'm working to bring in podcast hosts who are wanting to interview licensed clinicians that can share their expertise and knowledge with their audiences. Why should you be a guest? That's a really good question. Let me tell you, people are crawling all over the internet, listening to podcasts and watching videos on mental health issues. My mission is to help spread the word about mental health treatment and help lower the stigma around mental health. And to do that, we need to get you guys out there sharing your knowledge, sharing your wisdom, and how you help people live their best lives. And it may help grow your brand and visibility and possibly help you gain new clients. I also share how to create a podcast guest one-sheet and tips and ideas for getting yourself booked on shows. So will you come join us? Look for the Talk Therapist Lounge on Facebook. I hope to see you there. Well, hey everyone, welcome to another episode of The Therapy Show. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard, and I'm so excited that we have Tracy Kenela on the show today. So welcome to the show, Tracy.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're welcome. Once again, Tracy and I connected, I think, in a Facebook group. That's how we got to know each other. Is that right?
Right. Through the Healthcasters Facebook
That's right.
group.
Through Melvin's group. Because
Right.
you have a podcast yourself.
I do.
Tell us about your podcast.
My podcast is called Calming the Chaos, and it's all about the chaos in your mind and body and other places that you can have it. Anything that has to do with overwhelm. I just happened to notice that my clients were very overwhelmed when they came in to see me, and it seemed to be a universal concern. So I started a podcast about it.
That's awesome. So your podcast is primarily for your clients out there or for the general public who deal with needing to calm themselves, I guess.
Yeah, and that includes therapists, clients, just the general population, because I just did see it as a universal concern, not only in my own life. I always tell my stories in the podcast, which always makes it a little bit interesting. Therapists get chaos too, in the session and out of session. So it's for therapists, clients, and whoever wants to work on a chaotic mind.
Yeah, I really liked your show, and your episodes are great. And you incorporate other things too, like music as well, because you're also a musician.
Right. That's kind of where I started my college career out is I wanted to be a musician. And a famous saying in the musical field is don't quit your day job. So I went to school to get a degree for a day job, which was accounting, which I worked in that field for about 12 years. And then I went into human resources and then finally counseling. So it was a long zigzag path that, yes, did start with music.
Wow, yeah. It's always a journey as to how we get to be therapists. And I do find that a lot of my guests have had careers doing other things before they found the world of therapy or counseling. So, yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show today. I know you want to talk about how you stay focused when you work with clients who have experienced extensive trauma or and also who have difficulties participating in traditional talk therapy. So, I'm really curious, like, how did you decide to shift into the world of therapy? How did you get there?
Well, it took me 20 years to get my 4-year degree. And in that 20 years, I had a lot of time to think. And I thought about my original dream, which was to become a psychologist like Bob Newhart. When I was a little girl, I used to watch the Bob Newhart show, and I really wanted to be a psychologist like Bob Newhart. So
That's
I
awesome.
didn't have, yeah, I didn't have the money to do that. So did get a scholarship in music, went to school for about 2 years, and then waited and waited
Mhm.
and waited, worked my day job. And in that time, I observed people and I had this knack of calming down people who were really angry. I worked in payroll. So you got to understand how chaotic that might have been if a paycheck was wrong.
Mhm.
I just seemed to have this ability to calm people down. Even though I was kind of an anxious person myself, I would sort of shift and be able to calm them down. And I thought, I wonder if I could just be a therapist.
Mm.
And while I was in my undergrad program, which again was, I think, 18 years later, I ended up going into psychology because I thought maybe I'd have a little bit more power to help people calm their anxious minds.
Mm.
That's why I went into therapy.
Wow. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's kind of a gift, you probably didn't even know it was don't if you're like me, like, I didn't realize it was a career. I didn't know that you could actually get paid to help people. I thought it was just like, "Oh, I'm good at helping people. I can help them, calm themselves, work." And then you find out, "Oh my gosh, I can get paid to do this? This is really wild." It's pretty cool. I love that.
Yeah. It is pretty wild that you can actually get paid for helping people when people will do it for free. Your friends will listen to you, but I get paid for it.
Right? Although I will differentiate between, like, that the friend relationship sometimes. I don't know, like, I tread very lightly with my friends, and when they're experiencing something, it's like they come to you because 'cause you're the therapist, but you're also not like, they haven't signed a consent form. So, you know
Well, I always say to them, anybody who has said that, which a lot of my friends do not say that, but when they do, I'll say, well, if you want me to do that, you'll have to pay me. And
Yep.
then they shut up.
Yeah, right? That's a
they're
nice.
they're quiet after that.
There you go, boundaries. And so for those young therapists out there who are listening, because this was me when I first started, I was like, I'll help anybody. I just
Mhm.
love it. And then no, you have to set those boundaries or you will head into compassion fatigue and possibly burnout. I mean, it's heavy. It can be heavy for.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you recognize when you're heading down the compassion fatigue burnout path?
Yeah, this was actually what I did my master's thesis on because at the time I was a vocational rehabilitation counselor going through burnout.
Mm,
So I did my master's thesis specifically on burnout in vocational counselors. And as I recognized that what it was burnout, my supervisor told me, I think that's what you're going through, that I was able to pull myself out of it with some therapy. We had a mandated therapy program at our school anyway. I had to go
mhm,
through 20 sessions. So I used that to my advantage. And part of what I did was manage that burnout that I felt as a vocational counselor.
mhm,
So one of the signs I noticed was just as I neared the building, I started to get a sinking feeling in my stomach, like I didn't want to go in.
mm,
Or at the beginning of the workday, I would just sit at my desk and I wouldn't want to pull out my folder or make a phone call. It was this avoidance of work, that
mm,
urge to avoid work. And that was the very first thing I noticed, like, why can't I just get going?
mhm,
I
mhm,
never really had an aversion to clients or hate. I know one of the signs is not liking your clients. Sometimes I would roll my eyes at some of the clients that I worked with, but I would never not like them. I always wanted to help them. I always rolled my eyes inward at myself, like, why can't you
Right.
just get it together, Tracy?
Right. Yeah.
But those are the two big signs, I think. A little depression went with it. It was almost like with burnout, how I describe it is a mostly cloudy day. And then when you start to see some patches of blue in the sky is when you know you're recognizing and becoming aware and you can pull yourself out of it a little bit better. But
Mhm.
it does take some time
Yeah.
once you're in it. I would rather prevent it, which I'd like to talk a little bit more about today about how to prevent it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about preventing it because I think that that's key. Prevention is everything, you know? So, or where do you want to start with that?
Well, the first step in my mind is being aware. And I don't like to say hazards of the profession, but really, I think that we go into this profession not knowing what the hazards might be.
Mhm.
For example, if you are in food service, you'll wear an apron. They'll make you wear an apron. Or
Mhm.
if you're a police officer, you'll wear a bulletproof vest or have a body cam or a gun or whatever it takes to do that job because there are inherent hazards. So that can go way on up to people who deal with hazardous materials. In counseling, though, people don't actually realize that there are hazards for going into a room with another person's energy and your energy and exchanging energies. Being aware, not like you have to actually put on a hazmat suit, but to be able to be aware enough to protect yourself, protect your own energy, which is a preventative thing for burnout. It's
Mhm.
being aware that there is a hazard of the job.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. You know, that's kind of the whole be aware is going to be different for everybody, you know? Like,
Mhm.
what do you think that looks like for you? I'm trying to get like a picture of, okay, well, I hear be aware, but like, what does that look like?
So before the session even starts, I will be aware of the hazards of the profession. So I will actually keep myself well. A really good way to do that is the dialectical behavioral therapy model, please, PLEASE.
Mhm.
So that is treating physical illness, managing eating, and avoiding substances, and then getting a lot of sleep. And the final E on please is exercising or some sort of physical activity. That's a really simple model to keep yourself well. So keeping the vehicle that is in the session well is where I start
Mhm.
in my journey. So even before I get into the room, I'll be doing that for myself. And as far as energetic protections when I'm in the room is I'm always aware of my body.
Mhm.
What is showing up in my body? How is my body reacting to the person in front of me? Do I notice myself getting really hot? Sometimes I'll notice myself sweating. Sometimes when there's a lot of energy in the room, sometimes I'll notice my heart beating faster or my cheeks starting to get a little bit warmer. But noticing that and then breathing through it,
Mhm.
just being able to say, oh, that's what this is. An exchange of energy. It's my own energy coming up during this session and taking some steps through your breathing. And I have some acupressure points that I also will press to some of my wrists and palms and on the sides of my knees. I'll do that sort of energetic work with myself during sessions as well.
Wow. I love it. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Some really, tangible things that we can do to be
Hmm.
aware. And I love that you said in the beginning, be the please model of making sure that you're physically, emotionally prepared to walk into what you're about to walk into. I like that. I like that a lot. It's really great. And then the energy, being aware of energy, I think that's really important. And that's something that I think takes a seasoned clinician to kind of like recognize energy patterns and make space for different types of clients and their energy throughout their week. You know, do you have like a way that you set your schedule up so you're not like back to back to back to back of clients that are, I say difficult, but not that they're difficult, but like the energy is hard for you to manage. I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, well, I don't consider any of my clients easy. That's one of the mindsets that I put in. So, one of the things is taking care of the body, but then the mindset comes into where it's like, oh, I can look at my calendar today and think this is going to be an easy day.
Mhm.
And then it's not. Anything can happen. So, being put in that mindset of being prepared that anything can happen is key.
Okay.
Even with the easiest clients, anything can happen with this person. This
Mm-hmm.
person can have a major breakdown or breakthrough today. And if you're not prepared for that possibility, then you might get caught just sort of floundering or going into shock yourself during the session.
Mm-hmm.
Another mindset is my job isn't to solve your problems and tell you what to do. It's to empower you to be aware of what you need and take the steps to get there. And when I put the power back in their hands and not in, oh my gosh, I've got to help this client, I've got to come up with something because there's 15 minutes left and I've really got to come up with a winner here. It's not my responsibility to do that. So giving away my own responsibility for their wellness in advance, just being able to understand it's not my responsibility to fix the problems. I'm here and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to stay here.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that. Was that something that you had to learn over the years? Or maybe because you came into this field a little bit older, you were able to grasp that a little bit better? What do you think?
I think I remember hearing it somewhere, to be honest, and
Mhm.
feeling very relieved because I did go through the very first, well, even all of my years as a vocational counselor, and then my first couple of years in private practice, I did go through that. Oh, this is my responsibility to cure these people.
Mhm.
And then somebody had said, don't take credit for how they progress toward their goals, and don't take credit for when they don't progress
Mhm. Mhm.
toward their goals. So don't take credit either way. And
Right.
that was an enormous relief for me to be able to say, I'm going to be in the room and do the best that I can, but I
Mhm.
cannot solve this for them.
Right.
Can't.
Right. Yeah, I really like that. And that kind of reminds me of the idea of when I have clients say, "Oh my gosh, you've helped me so much. You've helped me so much." And my
Right.
first thought is, "No, you've helped yourself so much." But then, you also have the flip side of it. If I don't think therapy is working, I'm going to find a new therapist. And it's like, okay,
Mhm.
so it's both and, which I think is pretty wild to consider. Hey, friend, want to be more comfortable while sitting on the therapy couch? I sure did, and went looking for pants and tops that were soft, wrinkle resistant, and would match just about anything I already had in my closet. And now Zyia Active makes up about 80% of my wardrobe. Would you like to learn more? Head over to my site, lisamustard.com, and click on the activewear tab. And don't think this is just for women. They have men's and kids' clothes too, and our family is loving the quality, and I am loving the price tags. So head over to my site to check it all out.
That is so true, because then we think we will take credit for their successes and then we don't. But
Yeah.
then we do take credit for when they don't reach their goals and they need to find another sort of therapist. And I just consider it a journey. It was very freeing for me stress-wise.
Yeah.
It's off my shoulders now.
Yes. I can relate to that for sure. I can definitely
Yeah.
relate to that.
And then one of the professors I went to Chapman University, and one of the professors said that your first mission is to get these clients out the door. Not like you don't like them, but once they come in, your mission is to be able to help them fly free
Mm.
by
Mhm.
themselves. So
Mhm.
autonomy, that's why we have our code of ethics talks about autonomy, and
Mhm.
we need to continue to foster that autonomy, and we are not here to make them dependent upon our services or us, but
Mm.
they need to learn how to do things themselves.
Exactly. I love that. That's great. What else can you share about preventing burnout?
When I think about preventing burnout, the awareness is key. And my podcast goes into that a lot about how to be aware, how to spot the signs of chaos, mental chaos, physical chaos, actual chaos. There's something about the coronavirus on there too. I'm not sure if you listened to that one. That was a wild one, because now think about it. This whole week I've been telling my husband, I podcasted about that a couple weeks ago, and now look at it. It's really super.
Mhm.
It's in the news. It's all that's in the news, right?
Yep.
So I like to think of it in terms of the 4 A's. So the first A is aware, and the second A is being awake in session, which we talked about, continuously noticing and making adjustments during the session, and then also shifting your mindset if you notice that you're trying to solve the problem or pull a really great skill or something out of your hat at the very end, being able to get yourself back to the original mission. And then Alive is the third A. Being able to let go, relax, and be creative, letting ideas flow.
Mhm.
This is more on a spiritual realm for me. What I do is I have a higher power or a spiritual force that I connect with during the session. And when I get stuck, I remember that the portal is open to that spiritual connection, and I just trust that things are going to be fine. And that little shift in my energy helps me to be more creative, helps the client relax more, and it helps with their shock. Shock being parasympathetic and sympathetic. So they either get really super hyper or they dissociate and just stare at the wall.
Mhm.
And it helps sort of even out that energy if I can connect to. I know that this is another saying a great teacher of mine said, I am neither the source nor the destination. I'm merely the vessel through which the wisdom flows through.
Right.
And if you can keep that mindset, that is golden in
Yeah.
a therapy session,
Yeah.
because that's the third A. And then the fourth A just sort of comes automatically. When you do that and let go, you feel a light. So that's the fourth A. Feeling lighter, not taking credit either way for the client's progress or for their failures, and just being able to have a fun and comfortable conversation. It's like a dentist's office a little bit. When a client comes in, we want them to work on the difficult stuff. And yeah, there's going to be some pain, but we want to make it as pain free as possible so that they can feel free and I can feel lighter
Right.
during the session too. So it's a win-win for both parties. So the four A's.
Yeah. Can you repeat those one more time? The 4 A's.
Yeah, aware,
Aware.
awake.
Mhm.
That's the in session one. Alive and alight. And I'm not sure which podcast I talk about this in. It might be the very first one, but I do talk about this in my podcast as well as giving some skills about how to do this. Not for therapists, but for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody could use this model.
Oh yeah, I'm learning over here.
Okay.
Really, I mean, it's very helpful. It's very validating for things that I guess I do. I didn't really realize there was a framework to them, but I know that they bring me peace and they bring me calm. And I think that's what's really important here is that these tips and these tools, these techniques, they work. They work,
Right.
and you're probably therapists listening. You're probably doing them on some level. It's just there's going to be those days when it gets away from you, for sure. I mean,
Mhm.
gonna happen. I mean, I have those days as a mom, just as a
Yep.
person in this world. Coronavirus, hello.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely go to that place.
Wow. So yeah, and I guess that's really pretty much it. And there's a couple of other things, I guess.
Mhm.
Well, one of the things that I did when I went to hypnotherapy school to get trained to be a hypnotherapist is I noticed that they are really big on energy clearing.
Mhm.
And so they would use sage and burn sage after a big, like we would have all these groups of people doing hypnotherapy on each other. So the energy in the room was really heavy
Mhm.
and they would burn sage. I started to burn sage one time in my office and people thought I was smoking something. And so I stopped that right away and I developed these little sprays that have sage oil in it.
Okay.
So I spray them around the office and it sort of clears the air
Uh-huh.
and helps me to readjust my own thinking and remember that another client's coming in and we just want this room to be cleared.
Yeah. Oh, I
That's
like
the only
that.
thing I would add. Yeah, it's really super easy to do. I spent years developing the formula, and I wrote it down in my little cookbook,
Mhm.
and it's really great. My clients love it. One client or two over the years has been fragrance sensitive, so when they come in, I don't use it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll use it.
Yeah, but that's a really great tip. I like that. Is this for sale? Can we buy your sage?
I wish I had it together enough to sell it. I've given a couple bottles away for to my clients who have wanted to do energy clearing in their homes,
Yeah.
and it's not for sale actually. I do have a compact disc that does teach mindfulness though, and that's
Oh,
mainly what I'd like to be able to. I guess the compact disc is a little outdated. A lot of people like digital music, and it's available on digital music as well. But it basically has 9 practices you can use throughout the day that are under 10 minutes long that teach you how to be more aware
uh,
and awake and alive and alight.
oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. So that is called On This Day. It's available on Amazon and then it's available on Spotify and I believe it's Google Music,
Mhm.
some other music company that has digital music. I think it is Google Music. Yeah,
Cool.
Spotify and Google Music have the digital version available.
Okay, cool. Well, we will put those links in the show notes so folks can just go back and click on it and they can, it's a purchase, like a purchase you have to make.
Right. And you can buy the individual tracks. So if you just want to try one out, then you can see. There's actually a free one that I'm going to be offering this week called Mindful Eating, because it is National Eating Disorders Awareness Week this week. And so I'm going to be with my podcast this week. I'm going to be offering it for free.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be on my YouTube page.
Oh, cool. Well, this episode is going to air after Need a Week. So the cool part is we'll just link to that episode in the show notes as well, so people can go and check that out. I'm excited for that. That'll be great. We'll share that for sure.
We developed the original music in the background too. So it's a music and voiceover music. So there's sort of meditations, visual guided meditations, and it's really sort of neat how it just popped out after I finished hypnotherapy training. It just sort of, I want to make a meditation CD, or I want to make a mindfulness CD, and I just did it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Maybe we should have you come back and talk about how to create a product like that. Because I hear that from a lot of therapists. They would like to create, meditations or hypnotherapy or, create an app. I think that's really neat. Really, really cool way to take your skill set and do something different. I think that's neat.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you the links to that. All you have to do is search Google Tracy Kenela on this day and it'll come right up. But I can give you a direct link to the Amazon, and everything's on my website. So if that's my podcast, my CD, maybe I'll have the sprays up there one day. I don't know if I get it together. I do have also these little cards, they're affirmation cards that have the chakras on them, and they are really super cool. A lot of people love just drawing cards. A lot of people are into cards.
Yeah.
So I decided to develop a set for myself, just sort of let that channel flow. And I really do believe they were divinely inspired by my cat, Oscar, who had passed away right before this. And I think he was sending me these to let me know that I was okay without him. He was 20 years old.
20,
and so,
wow.
Yeah, this is a really special deck of cards. And so maybe one of these days, I'm giving them away right now, but I'll have it together and be able to have these out there for purchase. But right now, I'm not there right now.
Well, I think we should do a giveaway on this podcast. So I think that'd be fun. Yeah. So when this episode airs, you guys look for a little giveaway around this episode. I think that'd be really neat, Tracy.
Cool. Yeah, no, since I'm giving them away anyway, I think I love that idea.
You can enter our giveaway, or you can just reach out to Tracy and she will give you a set. Well, I would love to see them because I love our pets, and I know what you mean when you feel like you were inspired or called to by your pet. I can understand that for sure. Well, this has been such a great interview. Do you mainly work with clients who have extensive trauma? Like, is that your niche?
I would like to say that I have a couple of niches, but anxiety, I love working with anxiety because I struggle with anxiety and I know a lot of the signs and it's a real kind of a natural thing for me. I am certified as an eating disorder specialist. So a lot of people will call me because I'm one of 2 people in the community that are certified, and probably only about one of 4 in the whole state of Washington that are certified. So a lot of people will call me for eating disorders help. And with eating disorders comes the trauma piece. And then people who also come in with mixed anxiety and depression also have some extensive trauma. If I can't help them in 4 sessions with anxiety, there's probably extensive trauma that we're looking at, or some PTSD. So if you want to say that's my niche, I guess that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are speaking to someone who's very seasoned with this population. So thank you so much for sharing and for being a part of the podcast and coming on and talking about, ways that we can prevent burnout. Because I imagine in the work that you do, if you didn't do these things, if you didn't take care of yourself, if you weren't aware, if you weren't, aware of your energy, I could see this being, I just all raise my hand and say it was a slippery slope for me. And I'm grateful that you have come on and shared today. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience before we end?
Well, yeah, sure. Well, just listen to my podcast. I'd love that. I'd love more listeners. I'm really bad at social media marketing. So if this is a way to get you to listen, it's a universal concern. I think everybody could benefit from it, and you can refer your clients to it. It's called Calming the Chaos. It's available on Apple Podcasts and Apple Music. And it's Calming the Chaos. Libsyn, libsyn.com, which will probably be in the show notes as well. But I thought I'd just a little plug.
For sure. We will definitely link to that. It is a great podcast. And you have music in there that you've written as well, right? Like
my friend Will, who plays the guitar, came up with this riff a long time ago that I just loved. It reminded me of bounding through a sunny field with a sheepdog or something. It's really super cool. And that's why I chose it for the podcast, because it just took me away.
Yeah. Well, you guys, Tracy is such a neat person. I really enjoy getting to know her and chatting with her. I'm just going to come out and say you're pretty cool. Like, you're just a cool chick. Like, I wish that we weren't across country from each other. I could definitely hang out, and I think that could learn a lot from you. So thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been great.
And thank you for what you do too. Your podcast is pretty good itself. So, and all of the things you do to market yourself have been awesome. I can learn a lot too. Yeah. So keep in touch.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that wraps up another episode of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. I know there are hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and I'm thankful you've chosen to listen to mine. Be sure to visit lisamustard.com to access the show notes and discover more fantastic content. And I'd be grateful if you subscribe to the show. Thank you.